The Dukes of Dice are brought to you by Tasty Minstrel Games' Arcane Wonders Game Toppers, lists that are a few days too late, and listeners like you.
Welcome to the Duchy. It's time for another episode of the Dukes of Dice podcast, a proud member of the Dice Tower Network.
Coming to you from the Duchy in the Duke City, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the Gateway City, St. Louis, Missouri, it's The Dukes of Dice, a podcast about board, card, and occasionally role-playing games. Today, the Dukes give you their top 10 games of 2018. That's about it. And now, The Dukes of Dice.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Sean.
And Alex.
And this is episode 192, You've Got a 10 in Me.
You've got a 10 in me.
That's interesting. Okay, never mind.
You got a 10 in me.
I went somewhere really bad with that.
When the road looks rough ahead and Sean comes up with some innuendo, you just remember what your old pal said, 'cause you've got a 10 in me.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That episode title, thanks to Jimmy DM90, because we're talking about a top 10 list. Is there any other connection? Am I missing a connection?
Nope, that's it.
Because I kind of just ceded my portion of the name choosing responsibilities to you.
So there were a lot of them that were just referencing the 10, because in fairness, we're just doing a top 10 list. That's all we're doing. And then there were some of them that referenced the teen part, like late teen, 2000 late teen from Nick Cage. We're getting into the bottom of the show early. But you know what? I like a little musical one. It was catchy. Okay. I dug it.
All right, perfect. Well, we do name all of our episodes with the help of our awesome Board Game Geek Guild members, Guild number 2008, where we ask for that help because we're lazy. But we also have people that contribute to the games that we're discussing and things like that. So we'll give you the rest of the runners-up at the end of the episode. Alex, how was the rest of your Feldmas?
Well, it was a little less grumpier. I was out in Colorado. Enjoyed some time with the family. Enjoyed some skiing. Enjoyed some holiday board games, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. Didn't break my collarbone. This was the ski resort where I broke my collarbone way back when. The third time I broke my collarbone was at this ski resort, and I went back to my the old spot where I did it, and I conquered it, Sean. I conquered my fears.
Good for you.
And I conquered my past. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great, and good games, good family, good times, fondue. Yeah, lovely. And New Year's was fun as well. Went over, played some games, which again I will talk about in a bit. But I gotta tell you, Sean, not much better for a holiday season than Jackbox party games. Have you played any Jackbox game?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, they're really good.
Yeah, I remember you talking about them last year.
Oh, they're really good, and it ended up happening again this year. Again, I'll get to that in a bit. How were your holidays, Sean? What did you get Chewy? What did Chewy get for Christmas?
Chewy got this big giant RV motorized car. It's this Barbie car, and it's huge. It is almost as big as my actual Hyundai Sonata.
Okay.
Or at least it seems that way. And then we did some more Lego stuff, which was pretty cool. And we actually got a ton of snow here a couple days after Christmas, and I think it was New Year's Day. It was New Year's Day. We actually had a ton of snow. We built a snow person, which Chewy decided to name Eliza, which is her actual name. It was a good couple weeks. It was weird. It was weird at work because we were closed the Monday, Tuesday of each week for Christmas and then for New Year's. But then we also had snow closure, and then we got caught up in the CenturyLink outage. So we closed for another day and a half because we had no internet access. So it was a weird couple weeks. But enjoyed the time off and spending it with the family. Not a whole lot of gaming necessarily, or not more than usual, I should say.
Good.
Well, should we talk about some games, Alex?
Sure. You wanna kick us off?
Sure. So I got a care package earlier in the week from our sponsors, Arcane Wonders. So I just want to put that out there up front. And they sent me a couple different games.
Wait, can I do the tagline?
Sure, go for it.
It's never a blunder when you go with Arcane Wonders.
Shouldn't the blunders be plural? Shouldn't you figure out some way?
Okay, you won't be making gaming blunders
There
when
you
you
go.
buy games from Arcane Wonders.
There you go. See, that makes more sense. So, rather than just kind of talk about all of them at once, which is kind of shillish, I will spread them out, which is that way I'm spreading the shill over a longer period of time.
Oh, good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm sure it's appreciated.
Okay, so I'll talk first about Senshi, which we've advertised for a while now. This is an interesting abstract game. You are a kung fu type monk, I suppose. You're a monk of some sort, and you are trying to take over the temple, the abbey, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, but you're trying to take over.
There isn't a theme in this game.
But there is. In fact, after I taught the rules, we had a new person, Lauren, I believe her name was. She was visiting from DC. She was only there for the night. And so after I explained the rules, she's like, okay, I don't understand anything you said, but give me the background of the game and then it'll all click. And so I explained it to her and she's like, okay, got it. I'm like, oh, all right. Basically, you have these 4 characteristics like your strength and agility and wisdom. And the idea here is that you want to be well balanced because you don't want to be low on one of these at the end of the game, low scoring on one of them. Because if you have the lowest score of anyone in any one particular category, you're going to be kicked out and you won't be able to be evaluated for winning. Ultimately, it's whoever has the highest value in any one category is the winner. So in these 4 categories, if I'm super stacked on one, but I've really negated the 4th one, I'm going to get kicked out even though I would have won otherwise. So here's how the game works. The main component are these cool little plastic pieces of 4 different colors, red, yellow, green, and blue. And they're really nice pieces. They stack and they kind of interlock when they stack. So it's really good production there. And you're going to randomize them and you're going to put them into stacks of 3. So you might have a red, yellow, blue, and then a green, yellow stack. And you've got a bunch of these stacks. We played 3 players. I think there were 16, maybe 20 stacks. I don't remember exactly. But you have all these stacks. And so on your turn, you're doing one of 3 actions. You're either grabbing a stack and adding it to your player board, although you can only ever have 3 stacks at a time. Second option is you can steal a single disc from any stack. That could be a stack that's out in the middle. That could be a disc on a stack that's on your opponent's board or from your board, and then you add that to your hand. And then the third action you have the option of taking is you can then play a disc from your hand to your scoring area, and then whatever color you place, anybody, including yourself, that has that color disc on top of any of their stacks will also score it. So there's this interesting thing where it's like, okay, I would like to score this green because I need to help my green, but shoot, if I do that, this person has 1 green on top of one of their stacks. This person has 2 stacks with green on top, so I'm going to really help them. So there's this interesting delay, but then if you wait too long, someone might steal one of the discs that you were intending to score from one of your stacks. It was really interesting. It was a pretty cool, I mean, I'm going to call it an abstract game, but I liked it. I'm curious how this would play with 4, and I'm curious how this would play with 2. I feel like the duel aspect in a 2-player game would be pretty interesting. It was fairly quick. We played with the rules teach and the 3-player play 15 minutes. So it's pretty light. It's pretty quick. I found it pretty interesting. I mean, it didn't blow my mind or anything, but I thought it's worth a look. And I am looking to get a couple more plays of it in. Again, I'm very curious how that tit for tat 2-player play will feel. Have you had a chance to play this?
Oh yeah, a long time ago. I think this was back at Origins. Was the first and only time I played it. I actually have a copy, and I need to break this one out again. I've had it in several situations, and it just hasn't quite hit the table. But yeah, I remember that sort of that tough decision making of I want to do something to benefit myself, but how much am I going to benefit other people when I take that certain action? There's that bit of a dilemma there that's pretty engaging and nice small box game that pretty elegant.
Grumpy Man Matthew did not like it.
Grumpy Man Matthew doesn't like anything. Doesn't surprise me one bit.
So anyway, that is Senshi from Arcane Wonders.
All right, fair enough. Well, I successfully survived the the Stonemaier Gestapo. Now that's not the right word. The Stonemaier hit squads did not get to me. I didn't speak too long about the game prior to the embargo, and now that embargo has been lifted, and a lot more information is out there in the world about Wingspan. So I can talk a little bit more about initial thoughts about this game. This is from Stonemaier Games. It's not designed by Jamie. It was developed by Jamie, designed by, I believe her name is Elizabeth Hargrave. And so this is, Sean, a Gizmos killer to me.
Oh.
Now, I can't remember. Have you discussed Gizmos? Have you played Gizmos?
Yeah, we reviewed it on the show.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a good point. Did you play it ahead of that review?
Yes, I did play it ahead of that review. I did not Alex that review.
Oh, that's good. Oh, come on. I do it one time and I get an Alex.
You set yourself up for that.
I did it one time.
Oh, hey, Sean, did you play this game before you reviewed it? Yes, Alex. Yes,
anyway. All right. Well, so in Wingspan, what you're doing is you're trying to build the best bird sanctuary. And you have a handful of bird cards. You're trying to gather resources to pay for those bird cards and play them out into basically an engine. You're building an engine out of birds is the best way I can describe it. There's 3 different areas you can build your engine. You can build in the gather your food section, you can build in the lay eggs section, or you can build into the draw bird cards section. And the more cards you build into each section, the better you're going to get at that action when you choose to activate that action. So for instance, at the start of the game, when I activate the draw bird cards, I believe you just get 1 bird card when you do that, but if you've played another bird card down to that area, hey, guess what? You'll get 1, and if you spend an egg off of your board, you'll get an additional 1. Eggs are sort of a form of currency, a resource you have over the course of the game, and victory points at the end of the game. Lay eggs, I don't know if it's 2 and then 2 and 1. In any case, it keeps accelerating. The more bird cards you are able to build out, the better your engine is going to get. These bird cards are all completely and entirely unique and thematically based on what their bird is. So, for instance, the one I remember offhand right now is some kind of a vulture. And the vulture will score points. There's certain birds in the game that hunt for food. You will roll a die and see what you get. So of the birds that hunt for food, whenever they successfully hunt, the vulture gets to swoop in and pick up the leftovers. So, hey, you'll get a piece of food as well when other birds do that. Tiny birds have certain abilities. It's all thematically tied to what that bird does. Some birds can be built in only one specific of the 3 lanes. Some can be built in all of the lanes or just 2 of the lanes. It varies as you go. And what's going to happen is whenever you activate the space that bird is played into, you're going to do that main ability, and then you're going to move over to the left and activate the other abilities of the birds out there. Those might be more passive effects. They might be one-time effects. There are all sorts of different things that come into play when you play out these bird cards. You will also gather certain types of resources from the bird feeder, which is this very cool birdhouse that you roll dice into, and there's different types of food that might come out of that. Food is the currency you'll use to actually play bird cards out onto the table. So this is a game without a ton of player interaction. The battle for resources in the bird feeder is something significant. Basically, when either there's only one type of food or no dice left in there, the dice are all re-rolled and thrown back out there to be made available for other players to scoop up and munch on. The competitive part sort of comes in there. It also comes in a variant you can play. There's either a variant where you score a certain amount based on what you have. Like there's a requirement of, hey, have a bunch of birds with a wingspan of less than 100 centimeters. And if you have a certain number of birds with a wingspan lower than that, hey, you get a number of points based off of this. Or there's a version where it's competitive, where you're looking at other people and saying, whoever has the most gets this number of points, second most this number, third most this number. So it can be either direct scoring or relative scoring, depending on how it goes. As the game goes on, you're going to install your action cubes into those spaces. So the game starts off giving you a lot of actions, and then each round you get fewer and fewer actions until I don't remember how many you end up with. In any case, it's gorgeously produced and a very, very satisfying engine-building game. I had a ton of fun with this one, not just because of, again, how gorgeous it was, but because of how engaging that engine building was. My only wish would be for it to not feel quite so multiplayer solitaire-ish at times, but man, oh man, I've got a lot of love for this game, and as we'll maybe hear later on in the show, Stonemaier Games to me, and I know Jamie, and he's a friend, but man, just about everything they do, I tend to really enjoy, and this is no exception. So
Wait. Are you implying it's going to be on your top 10 list?
This game, no.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
Oh, later in the show, so there's another... Okay, never mind. Got it. I got it.
There may be a mention of another Stonemaier Games game later in this show on my top 10 list.
I'm like, this game isn't even out yet.
Yeah, okay. I'm aware of that.
Okay. Well, who knows, Alex? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows with me? I'm a mystery.
Yes. So, Alex, I have jumped into the deep end here.
Okay. Did you start obsessively watching Judge Judy episodes until 2 a.m?
No, did you?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last week or so.
What?
For no discernible reason.
What?
Yeah, I can't tell you why. There's no specific reason. It's just, yeah. Sometimes my brain gets hooked on stuff and then I can't get it out of my head.
Don't you have streaming services?
I have streaming services.
Okay, so I'll talk about the game now. It's called Magic the Gathering. Have you heard of it, Alex?
I am familiar with this game.
Okay. So Magic the Gathering has a new online game called MTG Arena. It just recently came out of closed beta. It's now an open beta and everyone can jump on. And I have been playing Magic non-stop, Alex, for 2 weeks. I started 2 weeks ago and I have been playing it like crazy. It is so good. This client that they have, this user interface, is amazing. Basically, they're trying to kind of cash in on Hearthstone, right? Because Hearthstone, have you played Hearthstone? No.
Never played Hearthstone.
Okay. Hearthstone is this...
Would I like Hearthstone?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's both of these games are technically free to play, and there's a lot that you can do just free to play with both of these games. And I mean, you'll never play super competitive. There are certain events, tournament events that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do, wouldn't be worth your effort necessarily. But there's a bunch of free to play stuff that I think is fantastic. But what's cool about Hearthstone is it's just this really intuitive user interface. It looks good. It plays well. There's these cool effects that happen whenever, so instead of just playing a card down, sometimes like something will pop out and it'll do things. And that's what Magic Arena is doing too. So like all of the mythic level cards, whenever you play them, there's some sort of associated animation. So like you'll play this giant dinosaur and this dinosaur will like pop up out of the card and roar and there's an explosion and a bunch of cool stuff. It's really cool. So there has been another Magic the Gathering online client, MTGO, Magic the Gathering Online, and I've played that extensively. That's been around for, I don't know, like 10 years? 10 years? It's been around that long? Yeah, I think so. 10 years or longer. By the way, this is Magic's 25th anniversary, Alex.
Wow.
And that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that it's been so long. It's pretty crazy that it's still doing so well and it's so successful. It's really a testament to the game and a testament to the design and to Richard Garfield and Mark Rosewater and all those people. Anyway, so here's the difference between Magic the Gathering Online and Magic the Gathering Arena. Arena has a much smoother interface. And it's still full Magic. So people were worried that this was going to be kind of a watered down Magic, but this is full Magic. You can stop at all of the different phase breaks if you need to cast a spell or something. This is the full game. It's great. With MTGO, it costs about as much to play as paper Magic. So like if I want to do a draft in MTGO, I'm going to spend, I think it's like $12 because you buy tickets. So it's like it's like $1. One tick is $1 if I remember correctly. And so then you pay 12 ticks to do this draft. In real life, it costs like $15 to do a draft. So about the same price. Now, at the same time, whatever cards you get, you keep, you add to your collection. You can buy cards. There's a marketplace within MTGO to buy the cards. And so I actually have a pretty sizable collection on MTGO that if I wanted to cash out, I could. So that's available. Although typically the value of the online cards are less than the value of the paper cards. Which makes a certain amount of sense. But at some point, if I wanted to absolutely get out of MTGO, which this might be the time to do it, I could cash out my collection and get a pretty decent return on my investment. if I wanted to. Maybe not. I don't know. With Arena though, Arena is cheap. It is super, super cheap. And I already have a pretty good Standards collection. Standard is like the most recent card sets. But ultimately, I'll never be able to cash that out. That's the big downside to Arena, is you can't cash out your collection. But most of my collection has been from grinding. Basically, every day you complete certain quests, you get gold. This gold can then be spent on events, can be spent to buy packs, a bunch of different things. There's another form of currency called gems, which you typically have to pay for, although you can turn coins into gems. But basically, I spent $100. Spent $100, which bought me a bunch of gems, and I have been able to play so much Magic. I have drafted in 2 weeks. I have probably drafted 75 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's insane. I have drafted this newest set, Guilds of Ravnica, at least 3 times more than any other set I've ever drafted. Like, I know this set inside and out. Like, I am really good at drafting this set. And so what's nice is if you do well, the gems that you pay for the event, you get back and then some, plus you're opening packs as rewards. And so if you do well enough, you can kind of self-sustain. So let's think about this. If I have drafted 75 times, let's do the math. 75 times at $15 a pack times 15, that's $1,100, Alex.
Oh boy.
So for $100, and I still have like 3/4 of my gems.
That's good.
So the value is great. Like if you're just looking for the experience of it and playing Magic and being able to draft, which is something I've always loved, it's just fantastic. And then there's also this like ranking system. So like right now I am gold tier 1 for constructed play. And I just reach for limited play. So like for drafts, I just reached platinum tier 4. So I'm doing pretty good.
What's above platinum? Diamond?
Diamond, yeah.
What's above diamond?
That's it.
What?
Yeah, that's it. But I'm not sure. I think it resets after every season, because then depending on your level at the end of each season, you get certain payouts in terms of packs and I think, is it coins or gems? I think it's coins. So it's really interesting. And, you know, here's what I hear a lot from a lot of people who have played Magic, who are now board gamers. Like, oh, Magic just gets too crazy. There's just so many things, and it's just kind of gone off the deep end. I don't know that I agree with that, because if in most environments you're playing Magic, you are like if it's standard, it's a pretty self-contained group of mechanics. Like, yeah, there's a ton of different mechanics out there for Magic, but for the most part, if you're playing standard or if you're playing draft, it's pretty self-contained and it's not super crazy. Now, if you're playing Legacy or you're playing Commander, those are for people that kind of want that full experience. But it is good. Like, I've just played this so much, and you know, when we talk about games making you feel clever, Magic absolutely makes me feel clever. It's a frustrating game when you don't get enough land or you get flooded with too much land. But man, the rest of the time, it's these micro decisions. And I was having a conversation about this with Nick. Like, it's not just the luck in this game, right? Because there are pro players. There are players that are just better than other players because there are all these micro decisions. You have on turn 3, I could play one of these 3 different cards. Any one of them, I could play them. I can only play one of them. Which is the right choice? It's dependent on who went first, what kind of deck you're playing, what the board state looks like. All these micro decisions, and you may think, oh yeah, that's absolutely the answer. But really, it should be this other card because you know that based on their deck, it's very likely that a turn from now they're going to play this. Or Alex, if I wanted to, Magic should probably be my number 1 game of all time.
I think you should name it so, honestly.
I mean, I've kind of held back because I'm just worried, right? I'm worried that then I have to include Netrunner. Then I have to include, I mean, I don't know. I've intentionally kept those off of the top 10 list, games like that. because they are somewhat of a different beast. I was toying with the idea of naming Magic MTG Arena my number one game of 2018, which I think would have pissed you off to no end.
Oh, I see.
We talked about that. We talked about that off air.
Now that's a step too far, sir.
Yeah. So it's not going to be on my list, but man, I'm really enjoying it. And you don't have to go on and spend $100. Like there is tons of way to play for free and to still have a great experience in MTG Arena. Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, that's Magic the Gathering Arena. Check it out if you've got a hankering for Magic, or if you want to check out what it's been doing. It's good times. I was actually Alex trying to figure out if there was a way I could play while we were recording, but
I mean, look, I've done things along those lines before.
Yeah, what are you doing right now?
Oh, right now I'm very focused.
What were you doing when I was talking?
I'm very focused.
Be honest.
I'm very focused on this show.
Be honest. What were you doing?
I am so focused. I may have been checking email at one point.
Okay.
But I'm pretty focused.
Okay.
I'm not playing a game. I'm not playing Magic the Gathering Arena. Sean Ramirez.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. Last set of things I'll talk about are holiday games. Because what are the holidays without gaming with your friends and family? And I did a good amount of that. And this is usually a good indication to me of what are some of those games that can bridge the gap. Because it whatever I'm bringing and whatever gets a good reception, I always try and keep in mind. It's a big part of the kind of gaming I end up doing. So let's start off with what I received game-wise for Christmas, because I only received one game, but it was the one game I was asking for. Sean, do you know what this game is?
No, I don't.
Clask.
Oh, okay.
Have you played Clask?
Yeah, I play Clask.
Have you played it a lot?
No, not a lot.
Have you played it a little?
3 times. Probably 3 times.
3 times? Okay. All right. Not bad. I first played this one out at Essen. It's been out for at least a year or two, right? I think
2-3 years.
Yeah, something like that. It's one of those that has some amount of mass appeal. It's been on sale at Target. This is a game. It's a dexterity game. It's sort of like gamers air hockey is the best way I could describe it. You have a little magnet under a board and a pawn on top of the board, and you're trying to hit this little ball and either score in one of several ways. Either knock the ball into your opponent's hole, or your opponent accidentally falls into their own hole, or there's these 3 sticky things. Abby and I call them sticky boys. If 2 of the 3 sticky boys get stuck to any one player, the other person gets a point. So those are the ways you can score points in that game. And it's just a delightful dexterity game. Perfect, especially when you've had a drink or two, I would say. It's a very good drinking game. And ended up playing it, not only my copy over at Abby's, but my buddy Josh here in St. Louis got a copy as well for Christmas and has been playing it just about daily with his wife at home. An amazing little game. Love it a lot. Been delighted to be owning it, delighted to be playing it. Also brought several games to play with my family. Brought one newly released monochromatic wolf title, which I'll just call Sword Fight. Played that with my brother. He seemed to enjoy it. He's actually a gamer's gamer, though, so that's not a good indication for sort of family reception. Let's see. Played King Domino with the family. That seemed to get a decent reception. This game called Blocks. Have I talked about Blocks on this show?
I don't think so.
So this is done by the designer of Carcassonne, I believe. And it's a roll and write where basically you're playing Tetris. You're going to roll 2 dice each turn and pick one of 2 Tetris-y shapes to fill in on your board. And when you do so, there's a little circle on part of the piece, and you're trying to circle numbers that are on the score sheet as you build up. You score points for getting things circled, you score points for being the first to complete certain rows, and you lose points if you leave gaps or leave empty spaces. Either you built over them or it's at the end of the game and you haven't filled in those spots. That was the most played, and that's one that I would strongly recommend because Tetris tends to be a game, even if folks in your family aren't necessarily nerds or nerdy, that's a game that's pretty universal. Just about everyone's played Tetris at some point or another in their life. And a good amount of people actually love Tetris, have been obsessed even briefly with that game. This has that Tetris-y feel in a roll and write format and does a fantastic job of it. I need to laminate some score pads because I'm going through those things pretty quickly. That one's gotten a great reception. Anything else? Anything else I played? Oh, Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden Game has continued to be a good one. 2-player. It's a delightful 2-player game. It's if it had come out in 2018, it would have been on my top 10 list.
Okay.
But it didn't, so I can't do that. So those are some holiday games there. And then, of course, I was over at my buddy Josh's for New Year's. We played some more Jackbox games. Jackbox, for folks who don't know, this is something that you'll play on, I think, typically a video game console. I think you can also play it on PC. But we were playing it on his PS4. And what it is these are games that are sort of quasi-online, sort of on your phone, and take advantage of the hidden information on people's phones. So, for instance, there's a game called Fibbage, and I might be remembering this right or not, but a game, for instance, that's a trivia game where there's a blank answer up on the board. One of them is the real answer, and the others are answers that other players made up as answers to the question. And whoever picks the fake answer, you get points for fooling them. And then you get points yourself if you can pick the right answer to it. It's things like that, drawing on your phone, making T-shirts. It's an amazing set of games. I've played, I think, a good 7 or 8 of them all told, and just about all of them have been a delightful experience. There's a new one on there that's basically a serial killer game, kind of a mock version of Saw. Without the blood and guts and gore and all that fun stuff, but with the voice and the feel and the aesthetics, and had a ton of fun with that. The other one we played 5 rounds of, and one that has persisted as a consistent go-to favorite, Werewords. I love Werewords, Sean.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Great game, especially now that there's the deluxe edition that doesn't look like complete garbage. I really enjoy the gameplay of this one, and I know there's some folks who won't play it off of principle because of the whole Oink controversy. I don't know what to tell you. It's a great game. It's a fantastic game. And I really enjoy it. So those are some holiday games I have played over the holidays. Happy holidays, Sean.
Happy holidays, Alex, and Merry Feldmas.
We had a grouchy Feldmas.
Yeah, we sure did.
Anyway. All right, that's going to do it for games we played after the break. Our top 10 games of 2018. Sean, when I get a handful of Berkey jerky, I love just sitting back and enjoying life at the old Topper. Boy, I remember those days at the Topper, just sitting back, eating nothing but jerky and Berkey Spice, Happy Mouth Spice. I don't know, I'm plugging a lot of Berkey stuff here, Sean.
Well, Alex, I don't know that we should be talking about Berkey Spice or Berkey's Jerky because they are not technically sponsors of the Dukes of Dice. only Game Toppers LLC. So I'm a little hesitant here to talk about anything else Berkey related.
Let me consult with my attorney.
Oh, wait, that's me. Yeah, that's fine. But Alex, let's do talk about a Game Topper. You are the proud owner of a Game Topper. You have one over at Monochromatic Wolf. What's the whole idea here with these Game Toppers?
Well, here's the thing. If you like upgrading your table experience, if you like playing on a nice surface, you want to really have that game sparkle when you have that game night, there's not going to be much of a better bet for your money than a Game Topper. You can pack it up when you need it to go. You can set it out when it's time to play. It's easily customizable with a bunch of different mats, cup holders, and the like. If you are in the market for a game table but don't want to overspend, you're not going to do much better than a Game Topper.
So go check out Game Toppers at GameToppersLLC.com and hit up Berkey at the next con you see for some jerky or some Happy Mouth.
Tell them it's on the Dukes.
Wait, does that mean we're paying for it?
No.
Wait, no. Don't tell them it's on the Dukes.
I mean, maybe.
No.
That's Game Toppers. GameToppersLLC.com. Sean, for many years, a great debate has been held about a great river. Is it Tigris or is it Tigris? Sean, which one is it?
It's Tigris. There's no debate. You just can't pronounce things.
No, it might be. It might be something else. Well, Sean, no matter what you call that magnificent river, Tigris or Tigris, there's a game that celebrates it. It's Trade on the Tigris from Tasty Minstrel Games, designed by Jeff Engelstein and Ryan Sturm. This game encourages you to be the best trader in a civilization in the cradle of civilization. Will you be a dictator, or will you be more democratic in how you approach things? Will you try and scam other people through trades, or will you pull off the perfect set by cooperating with your neighbors? Who knows? You'll find out if you pick up Trade on the Tigris.
Go check out Trade on the Tigris and all of TMG's other awesome titles at playtmg.com. So Alex, I've decided that you can be the new boss, as long as you take care of all of us. You can take care of all of us?
I mean, I gotta get my beak wet. But yeah, sure, I'll take care of you.
You can get your beak wet, since you're a critter of some sort anyway.
I'm a pelican. I'm a beautiful pelican.
But Alex, just make sure, boss, that we all get our beaks wet.
Everyone knows Boss Pelican takes care of his own.
Because if you don't, Boss Pelican Alex, we may replace you with someone a little bit more amenable to all of our individual interests.
No one replaces Pelican Boss Alex.
If you like this little teleplay, perhaps you should check out Good Critters from Arcane Wonders. Good Critters is a game for 4 to 8 criminal critters pulling off heists and fighting over the loot. Whoever's chosen as boss can distribute the loot however they like, but it's the crew that has the final say. If the crew doesn't like the split, they might just tell the boss to take a hike and put some other critter in charge. In the end, the critter collects the most valuable stash of loot is the winner. So Alex, this will be available for purchase in November of 2018.
That's Good Critters, and if you want to find out more about Arcane Wonders' other titles, including the Dice Tower Essentials line, you can go to arcanewonders.com.
All right, Alex. Well, before we get into the list, what are your initial thoughts on 2018 as far as gaming-wise? Was it a good year for you?
I think at the top end of this list, there are some games that are true standbys. I'm not sure if the depth was there. I feel like this year had a lot of good and not a ton of great. That's sort of my sense, is that the peaks of this year weren't as high as maybe some years past. But then again, we kind of always seem to feel that way. And then you look back a year or so later and, well, sure enough, there's games you love. I'm looking back at 2017's list right now. Do I think 2017 or 2018 was better?
Well, while you're doing that, I will say this. It's kind of a weird year for me because it's the year where the midweight Euro kind of lost its luster for me.
Yeah, just died.
And I think there were a lot of great additions to that type of game this year. But for whatever reason, I've just become pickier with that particular style of game. And so I think, I mean, there were a lot that I didn't even have an interest in playing. But at the same time, yeah, I think it was a pretty interesting year, all things considered. What does 2017 look like, or what did 2017 look like?
So I'm looking back at 2017, and if I'm looking at the top end of that list, and I'm comparing the top 3 of that year versus the top 3 of this year, I'd say the top 3 of 2017 was slightly stronger, and the depth of 2017 was slightly stronger. But I will say this, oddly enough, if I'm looking at my list, midweight Euros are what are dominating my list, honestly. Dominating. And we'll get into this as we go, but there's a lot of good stuff. And of course, at the end of the year, there's always the coulda, woulda, shouldas.
Sure.
I made so for my list, I made a top 10. I made an honorable mention section, and then I made the coulda, woulda, shoulda. The games I think would have had maybe a chance at making this list. I don't know, or I'm intrigued to play, but just didn't in time for this. And maybe over the course of the year, we'll get to them. So, do you want to get to coulda, woulda, shoulda, Sean?
Yeah, let's do that.
So my coulda, woulda, shouldas, I have 3. Quacksalber, the Quacks of Quedlinburg, the Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. I played it once at Dice Tower Con with the wrong rules off of a German copy. I now have access to a full English copy and know what the proper rules should be, and I think that one's got a chance at being on the lower end of the top 10 or in the honorable mention section. I don't know, based off of even the one play, if it's going to have a chance at the upper half of the list, but Quacksalber's in there. I've heard nothing but good things about Architects of the Western Kingdom. So that's one that I think would have had a big shot at this list. I don't know where on the list. I just don't have a good sense of it. And I don't know, Sean, but maybe I'm grown up enough now for a little Teotihuacan in my life.
Ooh.
I feel like I need to try that. And who knows? I don't know where it would end up on the list. With the heavy emphasis on planning, I don't know how well that's going to go for me. I'm not the best of planners, but that one's got me intrigued. That one's got me very intrigued. So those are my 3 coulda, woulda, shouldas. What about you, Sean?
So I think I might have mentioned some of them last episode. So Underwater Cities by Vladimir Sushi and also Newton, I think were both games that were going to be pretty much right up my alley. And I was really hoping to at least get Newton in before we did this, but it just didn't work out. So real quick, I'm going to take a step back, Alex, to the 2017 list, because you mentioned it, but you didn't name the games, like your top 3.
Yeah, I'll name the top 3 of 2017.
So your third was Near and Far.
Yes.
Second, Fog of Love.
Yes.
First was Flip Ships.
Yes.
My top 3, Codenames Duet, number 3. Legend of the Five Rings, the new LCG, was number 2. And then The Colonists was number 1. And I'm kind of looking. Yeah, in some ways I feel like the 2017 list was a little bit stronger. I think that, interestingly, my top 3 for 2018 is a little bit stronger, but I think The Colonists is still probably a better game than anything on my 2018 top 10 list.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. Honorable mentions.
I just have the one. There were a couple. Oh, okay. Two. Gone Shun Clever.
Okay.
The roll and write game that will be coming out this year in English. It's a fantastic roll and write game, but maybe there was another roll and write that supplanted it. And then War Chest, which is an abstract dueling game or fighting game from AEG, which I think is just fantastic, but didn't quite make it.
So, and I will say what's interesting about this list is even though we have played some games that are the same because we've reviewed them for the show, we haven't played a single game together this entire year.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what the overlap ends up being even given that. In any case, there's already a sense that there's going to be some overlap here. Honorable mentions, Carpe Diem. Honestly, the gameplay of this I would enjoy enough if the production wasn't so terrible. I cannot in good conscience put this on the top 10. But maybe in the second edition it'll lift it up enough to where retroactively it might have made the list. That's an honorable mention. Gun Kimono from Renegade Games. I have enjoyed a decent amount on 2 plays, just not quite high enough to make the cut. And War Chest I also have as an honorable mention too. If I had more plays of it, there's a chance this would just crack the list. But off of the one, not sure just yet. So those are my honorable mentions. So who's kicking this off? You or me?
You kick us off.
Okay, I'm kicking us off. Number 10. Oh, wait, there's the robot. Never mind.
There's the robot.
Number 10.
My number 10 game of 2018 is one that I really enjoyed off of a first play, but I'm going to have a hard time getting this to the table, and it's possible this one is in danger of sliding off or going higher. I'm not quite sure where it's going to end up. This is an Alexander Pfister title, Blackout Hong Kong. This is an Essen release from this year, which we'll see if I get into a little bit of trouble for that a little bit later on in this list. But this is a game where you are trying to gather supplies and turn the lights back on in the city of Hong Kong after a massive, mysterious blackout. It's a game where you have a handful of cards that you're going to program into different slots each round and then take different actions accordingly. And man, oh man, I found this one really engaging. I've enjoyed just about every Alexander Pfister game I've played, and how this game uses the rondel, how this game encourages you to build in different ways, to go take over the board and get points in that form or fashion. Really liked it. It didn't quite hit the same peaks that some other Pfister titles have in the past, but one that stuck with me off of the play I've had of this, and it's one that I'm excited to get more plays of. I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to get a ton of plays of. Just because of the crowd that I tend to game with. So we'll see where this one goes from here, but that's my number 10, Blackout Hong Kong.
Yeah, I probably should have. I completely spaced on this as far as my woulda, coulda, shouldas. I think this is probably a strong contender.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy this one when you get a chance.
All right, well, my number 10 is a midweight Euro, and it's one of the few midweight Euros that I actually bought this year, having played numerous ones at Empire or wherever. This was one of the few that I actually decided to pick up because I did enjoy it so much. Any guesses, Alex?
Coimbra?
Coimbra, good job. Yeah, Coimbra. So this was really good. And we played it right after we played Rajas of the Ganges. And we compared them a lot in our review because they're very different games. Mechanically, they're very different games, but within that family of midweight Euros, it's still similar decision trees, I guess. But for whatever reason, I really dug this game. It's got this interesting dice drafting where the pip value is important, the color is important. Then you're drafting based on some of those prior decisions. You're drafting nobles. You're running around this map of Portugal. You're trying to ascend on these tracks. This was just a really solid midweight Euro. And so as kind of down as I've been on them this year, that definitely stands out in my mind. Plus, I think that like the pastel colors, I think it's gorgeous. I think it looks great. Components are great. This was just a really solid production, and I'm expecting this to show up on your list. So we shall see. Alex is shrugging right now. So yeah, that is my number 10, Coimbra.
Number 9.
All right, my number 9, there was some debate here on whether this gets included in the list. And ultimately, I decided yes. And looking back at last year, I included Legend of the Five Rings, which is an LCG. So this is Keyforge from Fantasy Flight Games, designed by one Dr. Richard Garfield. And I got to tell you, Alex, had we done our list 2 weeks ago, before I started playing Magic the Gathering Arena, Keyforge could have been way higher up on my list.
Okay, interesting. It was sort of broken by that one.
Yeah, just the reminder of just how fantastic Magic is lowered this game in my eyes a little bit. It's still fun. It's still enjoyable. I'm still happy to play it, but the depth, at least right now, isn't quite there. And I've played this game a lot. I've played this game a ton. We've had tournaments at Empire, and so I just don't see the depth is there, and it doesn't necessarily need to be there because its baseline is different in terms of how you buy the game and collect the game, and the very random nature of things in this game, and the swinginess of the game and the combos of the game. So it still deserves a place on my top 10 of the year, but like I said, it's just not as high as it may have been a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'm sure, Alex, that this will also be on your list.
I don't know. Maybe not. You just never know. I'm unpredictable like that.
Fair enough. Well, that's my number 9, Keyforge.
All right, my number 9 is improperly placed. If you look at a number in the title of this game, the number in the title of this game would indicate this should be much, much higher on my list, but it's not. This is a party game. Sean, do you know the game I am talking about?
Just one.
Just one. This is another. It's in the category of games that you would think someone would have come up with before, and for some reason haven't. So this is a party game that I scooped up at BGG Con. It was an insta-buy for me, and I've gotten very good mileage out of it with a wide array of groups. I think it's best played with 4 players, at most 5. Any more than that, it isn't quite as engaging. Put out by Repos Productions, designed by Ludovic Rowdy and Bruno Sauter. And how it works is there's a clue that someone's trying to guess, and everyone else is trying to come up with a one-word clue to get them to guess that word. Then everyone's going to compare those clues. If anyone has the same clue, those clues go face down. And I've had some of my best moments at the table in terms of just the sheer laughter that this game can inspire off of this game. And it was my game of the con for BGG Con with good reason. The one thing I'll say is there just aren't enough clue cards in the game. And I have seen enough of them repeat enough times where, okay, I need a booster pack or I need something else to have this thing continue to feel fresh. That being said, it's an easy game to teach, plays with just about anyone. Really, really great party game. So that's just one, not my number 1, my number 9 game of 2018.
Number 8.
My number 8 game falls into the category that number 10 fell into of I wish I'd played this one more because man, oh man, the one play I got of this, I really, really dug. Sean, this is another one that I would characterize as a midweight Euro. And do you know the game I might be referring to?
Give me one more hint.
It's designed by two people, one of whom is known for a podcast.
Trade on the Tigress.
Trade on the Tigress. And full disclosure from our sponsor, Tasty Minstrel Games, designed by Jeff Engelstein and Ryan Sturm. And this, Sean, have you had a chance to play this one, by the way?
Still have not played this.
Yeah, this is one I think you would really dig. It's a negotiation game. I mean, it's primarily, as mentioned, trading, where you are trying to gather resources in. Did I say Tigris or Tigris? Is it Tigris? Which one is it?
It's Tigris, Alex.
Okay.
It's Tigris.
Did I say it right the first time?
I don't know. Sure.
Anyway, as you gather resources in this game, you're going to be moving either more towards democracy or more towards dictatorship or more towards one kind of god or more towards another kind of god, gaining abilities as you go. There are certain calamities that can be triggered when you trade goods. Sometimes you can trade for a good that's worth nothing, but you're going to try and play multiple sets of goods at the same time to move yourself along tracks, get yourself benefits, get yourself points. It's a really clever negotiation economic game, one where you have to trade in order to win, one where you get these nice kicker cards where if you trade this in for something, it's worth nothing to you but can be worth something to an opponent. And so it gives you this. It's the system of this really works well. I'm not in love with most trade or negotiation games, but the way this one handles it, where it's not open-ended deal making. It's not something where you can give someone something and then they can give you nothing. Mostly, save for I think one card in this. I found really enjoyable, and it's one that has nearly come to the table another time and then just didn't. I really dig this game, and I'm excited to play more of it in the coming year, and I anticipate I will. So that's Trade on the Tigris, whatever, my number 8 of the year.
All right, my number 8 is the roll and write that kicked Gone Shown Clever off of the top 10 of this year.
I know it. Is it Welcome to? ...
Yeah, it sure is. ... Yeah, so I talked about this, I think, last episode. It is this great little roll and write by Blue Cocker Games, designed by Benoit Turpin, I think. And it is good. You are building these 3 neighborhoods. It's not rolling, technically. You're flipping cards off of 3 decks, and the front of a card combines with the back of the card that you just flipped to designate which type of action you're taking and also what number you're filling in. And you're trying to fill in these different neighborhoods in increasing, from 1 to 15 or so. I really dig this one. I think it's super good. And the more I play roll and writes, the more I realize that A, I enjoy them, but B, they've got to really do something different. And so there are several that I kind of think of in similar categories. So like, for example, Steamrollers is very different than a lot of roll and writes. Very, very different. But this is kind of, Welcome to is kind of like the classic roll and write. The ones like Quinto or Quicks that I played first and really learned about the this category of games. So as far as that kind of game, whether it's Gone Shown Clever, Quinto, Quicks, this is the one for me. This one is really good. And I think I had said Gone Shown Clever was probably my top roll and write game. This absolutely replaces it.
Okay.
So that is Welcome to ...
Number 7.
All right, Alex, my number 7. We're doing really good at guessing each other's things based on a couple hints. So let's see if we can keep that alive. So, Alex, it's a double guess. I'm going to guess something about you, and then you're going to guess something about me. So this game, my number 7 game, I think is your number 2 game of the year, and it is a card game.
Okay. Are you referring to The Mind?
Good job. Yeah, I sure am. I'm curious to see if I'm right that it's your number 2 game. We'll see.
Okay.
I know it's on your list. I know you've enjoyed this game, and I enjoy it too. This is such a stupid game, Alex. Like, it's a deck of 1 to 100 cards. Everyone gets dealt 1 card initially, next round 2 cards, next round 3 cards, and you're just trying to play the cards in sequential order without any sort of turn taking, without communicating in any overt way. And man, I get why this game is so divisive. People either love it or they hate it. And you could tell right away. I mean, right off the bat, if someone either loves it or hates it, because it's like, well, what am I doing? How do I know that my 43, I have a 43 in hand and you have a 42 in hand? Well, that's just random. That's stupid, whatever. But man, I really like this. I think I prefer it as a 2-player game. But I know you've had some good experiences at the higher player counts, like 4 players and things like that. But I think it's great. I think it's really good. And it's just such a stupid game. But man, it's a lot of fun. So that's my number 7, The Mind.
The Mind. The Mind. Yeah. All right. We'll see how that prediction comes true. I will say, this is not going to spoil the prediction one way or the other. I had a serious dilemma at 1 and 2. It was the hardest part of my list. So we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
All right. My number 7 of the year was already on Sean's list.
That's going to be Coimbra.
No, you are incorrect, sir. Welcome to ... This is up there with Roll and Writes I've played the most, and this is a really, really fun game. I love the building of the neighborhoods. So in theory, Sean, this is one of those games that I has something that is never actually a problem, but I always worry about as a problem, where technically speaking, everyone could do the same thing every time, and no one ever does it. But this one sends the paths off into such divergent directions. There's so many possibilities with what you can do in each individual round, because not only are there the 3 combination of cards you can take, but where you place it will dramatically affect how the rest of your game goes and what you do with different things. The hoping and praying for that specific number and that specific ability to come up, that I'm holding out on this space because I want to use this as a pool, or you know what, I've given up on pools, I'm just going to go to try and complete those plans where I get a 5 and a 3 and a 3. Or, you know what, this game I'm gonna focus on real estate and making real estate really valuable. It has so many different cool paths to victory, and you have to pursue at least a couple of them each game. But the game itself may force you to improvise at times, and may force you to choose between an ability you'd really love and a number you might really love. It's a brilliant game. It's a brilliant game that has played pretty decently at just about any player count I've played it at. I haven't tried it at 2. But I can't imagine it being much different than playing it at, say, 10. There's a reason this game is on the box from 1 to 100. It just works, and you'd have different scores and different paths and different approaches with 100 different people. I don't think you'd have an identical board in the bunch. And for that reason, it sort of solves that multiplayer solitaire problem to me just by having the sheer number of possibilities that it has.
Wouldn't you just hate to be the 101st person that shows up?
Oh, no.
And they're just like, nope, sorry, can't play.
All booked. All booked. I think the game comes with 100 score pads, so it doesn't quite let you do 101, unfortunately.
Well, there's the app. You could use an app too to keep track. So, Alex, I am concerned about you.
Okay.
Because you have this high level of anxiety about people doing the same things as you in this type of game.
They're going to steal off of my brilliance.
I know. It really bothers you. You've woken me up in the middle of the night. Sean, I'm just so worried someone's going to copy my moves in Karuba.
Can I tell you that part of my role at Monochromatic Wolf, because every now and then I'll get brought in to test a game and to see how a game works or to see if it's going to be good, is to try and anticipate what a complete jerk would do in a game. So
what a stretch.
So there was one game we were testing where basically I kind of independently just started doing the one kind of most jerkish thing to do in the game. And it resulted in us sending back a copious amount of notes to the original designer of the game. And the idea of someone copying someone else's moves verbatim in that game is so inherently dissatisfying as a thought, even though it's a complete theory, that it has me down on a game like Karuba.
Okay.
But not down on a game like this. Not down on a game like Welcome to, which is a fine game, a game that I really should have in my collection, but don't.
At any point, if anyone's playing a game with you at a con or something, and they're in a style of game where they could just copy you, you need to do it, and you need to let us know on the guild. All right.
Nope. I'm gonna take extreme measures to hide my stuff, my brilliant plans, my schemes and designs. Anyway, that's my number 7. Welcome to
Number 6.
My number 6 is from a company I mentioned earlier in this episode. Sean, is that enough of a hint to tell you what the game is?
Yeah, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
It is. And I was pleasantly surprised by this game because for all the praise I lavish on Stonemaier, the one game that I found the most disappointing from them was Between Two Cities. There just wasn't enough there to engage me. The core mechanic of it, this idea of sharing with your neighbor to the right and sharing with your neighbor to the left, is something I really liked, but the building in there just wasn't engaging enough. There wasn't enough meat there to keep it interesting for me. Between Two Castles, Mad King Ludwig fixes that and fixes that in style. For one, it's a game with an incredibly intelligent production in that as you pack away the game, you're setting up the next game. It's already ready to go. You can basically pull it out and it's done. The game trays for this one are absolutely killer. And the game itself is fun. There's some really interesting strategies and decisions that come up with the tiles that you're picking for your left and for your right. And you build these unique, cool castles that feel like their own. There's little artistic Easter eggs to it. The gameplay itself is just so rock solid in this. And again, it takes that mechanic that I loved and combines it with enough depth to have the game itself feel interesting. I've loved every play I've had of this, and it's a tremendously solid game. So, Between Two Castles, Mad King Ludwig, a surprise. I would not have predicted this would have been on my top 10, but really, really enjoyed that game.
All right, my number 6 is a game that will not be showing up on Alex's top 10.
All right.
So, so far, I think my bottom 4 will all be on your top 10.
Okay.
But this one definitely will not, and that is...
No, wait, I don't get a chance to guess? You're not going to give me a hint?
What's a minimal hint? I think all the hints are too easy. All the hints are too easy. That's the hint. Oh, man. That's the hint.
All the hints are too... Is it Teotihuacan?
No. No. Well, that couldn't be on your list because you haven't played it.
No, obviously.
I'm saying a game that you have played, that we have reviewed, that will absolutely not be on your list. That we both have reviewed.
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll give you one of the very easy hits. It's an Eric Lang game.
Oh, Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No way. Yeah, not a chance.
No. Yeah, this game is great. It's dudes on a map. So it's in the family of your Blood Rage, your Kemet, your Cyclades. And it really is kind of the spiritual successor to the old Milton Bradley Game Master Series game, Shogun. And it's pretty streamlined in a lot of ways, although there's some complexities to it. And it uses a really cool bidding for combat mechanic where there's different things that affect the combat that you can bid on. It's got cool monsters. You start off with asymmetric powers of your clan, and then that increases even more as you purchase certain cards, whether they're the monsters or their effects. I had a ton of fun with this game. It did kill Blood Rage for me, but Blood Rage was always kind of on the lower end of my dudes on a map style games. No way was this a Kemet killer or even close, but it's a lot of fun, and there's some cool negotiation and alliances and things like that. But yeah, I know this will no way, shape, or form be on your top 10 at all.
Nowhere near it. Wasn't a thought.
So that is my number 6, Rising Sun.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5. I am curious. I guess this is not on your list, because if it were on your list, I think you would have mentioned it by now. I can't imagine it being at this level or higher for you, and that is Root.
Oh, okay. Not on my list, and wasn't really considered.
Wasn't considered, really?
No, wasn't considered.
I thought it might squeak on as 9 or 10.
Yeah, and maybe if I play it more, there's a chance it would be kind of in the retroactive list, low end of the list.
Okay.
But at the moment, no, not quite.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, Root, it's a fantastic coin game or counter-insurgency game, but with a nice, cute little woodland critter package, and it's really a lot of fun. And I'm interested to play all of the different factions. I'm interested to get more plays with this in with people that really have a good feel for the game too, because it's really helpful, because you really need to make sure that you're all working together to keep the person in the lead from winning, but then someone else takes over. And so there's just that pounded on the leader is really important. But Yeah, I think it's great. I'm a little surprised it didn't crack on as your 9 or 10. I thought it would. You seem to be high enough on the game, but that's all right, Alex. We've got more overlap than I probably would have expected.
Maybe.
I think we've still probably got. Oh no, we don't. Nope, that's it. This is the last of our overlaps.
Last of our possible overlaps.
No, it's the last of our overlaps.
Okay.
No, yeah, the next 4 are definitely not on your list.
All right.
The Mind, welcome to Keyforge Coimbra. So my bottom 4 overlap your list.
Yeah.
But anyway, Root's cool. It's fun. I'm hoping they keep putting out some more races so that you have just all that added replayability. So that is my number 5, Root.
I just did a little quick research, and last year in terms of overlaps, we overlapped on flip ships, we overlapped on Charterstone, we overlapped on Codenames Duet. And we should have overlapped on The Fox and the Forest because that game's amazing. But we didn't. It should have made my list. Anyway, the top 5, here we go. And I will say the decision between 4 and 5 was a tricky one on my list, as was the decision between 1 and 2. My number 5 is also the only one I had some questions about eligibility for my list, whether this would even be eligible. And I won't have Sean guess this. He already knows what I'm talking about because we discussed this ahead of the show. And this is a game that there's a little inconsistency on my list because Blackout Hong Kong is on the list. So why wouldn't this game be on last year's list? Because it was an Essen release last year. And the short answer is, I don't know. I played it the most this year. I felt like it was more available this year. It strikes me as a 2018 game. Get off my back. That game is designed by the rising star Vladimir Sushi, Pulsar 2849. Sean, did you give this one any consideration?
No, because I didn't consider it a 2018 game.
Would it have made your 2017 list?
By the way, I think his star has already risen.
Okay. Well, it's continuing to rise. It's still going.
All right. So
there it goes. Still rising.
Would it knock off flip ships? Spirit Island, Azul, the Ruhr.
It's not better than Azul for you?
No, I like what Azul does for that rate of game. I think Azul's brilliant. No, it's not my preferred weight of game. Every time I ask you about a Gray Fox game, I'm like, oh, do you think I like this? You're like, oh, it's too light for your taste. I'm just like, come on, bro. I like light games. They just got to be good.
Look, I just know how far you've drifted, and I want to be cautious. I know of a game that I think has a shot at being on your top 10 of all time that isn't out yet from us.
Okay.
But anyway. All right, my number 5, Pulsar 2849. This is a dice drafting, space exploration, Feld-esque game where you are trying to collect points in space in different ways by building pulsars, by upgrading your technology, by building out space stations, by traveling around to distant planets. And man, oh man, do I love dice drafting. Hint, hint to some other game higher up on my list. That's a mechanic that, when done right or done in a satisfying way, is one that I really, really seem to dig. And this game does it right. It has that Feld feel. It has a ton of variability in that you have the different tech trees you can have in there. I really, really enjoyed every play I've had of this game. I know some people have complained about the look of it. Look of it doesn't bother me, and I actually like a lot of elements of the production. This is one that has had some staying power and is. I'm preparing to move in about a month and a half here. I'm moving in with the girlfriend over to Abby's place, and I may or may not be doing a big giveaway in the guild to get rid of some of those games that I think will have appeal to other folks, but have less appeal for me. This one isn't going anywhere. I really enjoy Pulsar 2849, and I just wish I had more chances to play it. I find this game very engaging and yeah, incredibly well done. And it makes me excited to try out Underwater Cities because I keep hearing that one's also amazing.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that there's not enough room in Abby's place for your 6 games in your collection?
Hey, wait a minute. I've got a Kallax that's about 3/4 full. It's got about 3/4 full of games.
But looking at the individual shelves over your shoulder, each individual shelf itself is only like half full.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Every shelf has a game in it, and some of them are not full, and some of them are full. I'd say it's about 2/3 to 3/4, wouldn't you say?
You and I are two very different people, Alex.
I am a minimalist. Sean, I was able to live out of a backpack.
But I'm just looking at your shelf, it just makes me a little nauseous. I'm just like,
just because it's not organized at all?
Well, it's not
in any
organized.
shape or form?
Your games are terrible. You have terrible games,
What?
Alex.
What? What's so bad about the games I have?
I'm just joking. I mean,
man,
but not really.
Ugh. Whatever, Ramirez. All right. Anyway, that's my number 5. Pulsar 2849. Will stay in my collection, despite me getting rid of apparently a tenth of it. Probably a tenth I'll get rid of. Anyway.
Wait, are you taking the Calyx with you?
Yeah, probably.
So then you've got room for the games.
She wants to use it for other bits of decoration, which I think makes sense. It's going to go in the living room.
Oh, Alex.
I don't like owning a lot of stuff. I'm totally down with this plan.
I'm just saying, you got to be like, look, the Calyx, it's my board game shelf.
I'm not going to lay down the law like that.
The games won't exceed this particular shelf. By the way, this isn't some misogynistic, like, macho thing. I'm just... This is about protecting the board game hobby, Alex.
I don't need to own a lot of stuff. Like a good chunk of stuff I've picked up is at Monochromatic Wolf because we have game nights every Tuesday, and so expanding that library, I tend to play stuff more there anyway.
Okay.
So the stuff that's important to have, anyway. We're so far off track here, it's not even funny.
Number 4.
All right, number 4. My number 4 game of this year also has a dice drafting element and was already on Sean's list. Sean already knows what this game is. It's Coimbra.
Yep, I typed it into our list before you even said it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Coimbra is... I have never seen so many micro decisions built into one decision in this game. When you draft a die, what you're drafting dictates how much you're going to have to pay, where in the drafting order you're going to go, what kind of income you're going to receive. All of those decisions built into one makes for an incredibly satisfying drafting experience. Probably one of the most satisfying drafting experiences I've ever had in a game is built right into Coimbra. You can go in different directions with how you build your engine. You can try and go for more movement or more gold or shields, trying to race up on different tracks and get certain incomes at different times. Oh, this game is so good. So good. I don't know if the long-term variability is there, but man, every play I've had of this has been so dang satisfying. It does dice drafting right and is crunchy without being overwhelming. I really dig what was done with this game. So yeah, a worthy number 4 on my list, Coimbra, and arguably could go higher retroactively. Not much higher, but a bit higher. So that's my number 4, Coimbra.
Cool. Very cool. Well, my number 4 is another game that won't be on your list, but I think that's more because you just haven't played it. Oh, and also it would never be on your list. That is Lords of Hellas.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, not a chance. Nope. Zero chance.
Another Dudes on a Map game. And yeah, this absolutely is, in my mind, better than Rising Sun. Again, still not approaching Kemet, my number 1 game, but it's really good, and I liked it a lot. What's really cool about this, in addition to having a bunch of cool miniatures, which you would expect in this type of game, is there are 3 different ways to win, and at a certain point, everyone is so close to all of those, or to one of those individually, and just kind of jockeying for position, trying to knock someone down might bring someone else closer to one of the other things. A lot going on. I mean, this is, we talk about these hybrids that are kind of Euro, Ameritrash. This definitely feels more on the more on the Ameritrash side of the spectrum of that. But it's good. You've got your heroes doing quests, you've got them fighting monsters, you're doing battle, you're collecting artifacts. Man, this game is super cool, and the table presence is awesome because not only do you have these miniatures, but you have these giant statues that you're building over the game. Like they're like 3-4 times the size of the miniatures. It just looks super cool. I painted my copy because of course I did. It's that good of a game. It is one that Rory is constantly trying to get on the table. He was like, hey, let's play this. I'm like, I'd love to, Rory, but I can't because I got to review this for the podcast. I would love to get some more plays of this in soon. It's really good. You would hate it. Don't ever play it, Alex. But if you're more aligned with me, folks, and you haven't tried Lords of Hellas, this is the one that we reviewed for SeanCon. That's how we reviewed it without you having reviewed it. And Ellie and Andy both were big fans as well, but they're obviously a little more closer to my taste in games. So that is my number 4, Lords of Hellas.
Number 3.
All right, my number 3. This counts. I got a little bit of flack on Wednesday night from some people at Empire, but this absolutely counts. It's Brass Birmingham.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Now, wait, do you have the right brass? Do you have the right brass this time?
Yes, this is the correct brass. Brass Birmingham. So this is the release that just came out this year. There was the new version of Brass, Brass Lancashire, which is the original Brass, and now Birmingham, which has some slightly different mechanics. I mean, it's still 90% the same game, but it counts. I think it absolutely counts. And I've always loved Brass, the original Brass, and I think I like this version of it even more. It introduces beer as a resource. You don't have the shipping lines in this one. I think it's great. I was about to say I love Martin Wallace. I don't know that that's true. I like a lot of his games. I think for me, his games tend to be hit or miss, but the ones that are hit are big hits. And this is definitely one of those big hits in my mind. So that is my number 3, Brass of Birmingham.
All right. My number 3 of this past year is the game I think I played the most this year. It is a roll and write, and one that I think is absolutely brilliant in how it works. And a game that works solo, works at 2, works at 3, and works at 4. That's Gone Shown Clever. Gone's Shown Clever. Did you think this wasn't on the list?
I just assumed that you'd like Welcome to more, like me.
Okay.
The correct opinion.
The correct opinion.
And so then I have some questions about then 1 and 2, because I think I needed this third slot for something else.
Oh.
We'll see.
And I always get worried in hearing that, because the biggest worry you have with these lists is you forget entirely about a game that absolutely belongs on the list somewhere higher. I don't think I did that this year, but we'll get into this. Anyway, Gone Shown Clever, which Sean has discussed before. You're rolling a set of dice, and you are drafting them, placing them on your board. The first chunk of that game first chunk of every turn is pretty solitaire. You're picking dice. Some of them go in the cup. The rest you roll. Keep doing that until you've picked 3 dice, or if you've planned very badly, picked only 2 dice to place on your board. You get points in different ways. You get points in the yellow area by columns you've completed. You get points in the green area by having dice of a certain number. Purple, you always have to play a dice that's higher, although it resets after 6s. The combo-liciousness of this game is fun. The fact that you care about your score, your actual numbered score in this game, and are trying to surpass it and beat your own high score, and it sort of has this mini self-improvement leaderboard to it. The fact that it works so beautifully as a solitaire game, and the fact that it works beautifully as a multiplayer interactive game, even though what you do doesn't typically affect your opponents a ton in that. I found this really engaging. It's a brilliant puzzle, and I got to tell you, this to me, Sean, was the year of... Why am I forgetting? Oh, Wolfgang Warsch. The year of Wolfgang Warsch.
Yeah.
He did a tremendous job and surged into, if we were to do a redo of the top 6 designers of all time, I think he'd probably be in that list for me. He has, just the sheer year he has had is unbelievable, and this is well up there. It's a brilliant roll and write. Makes you feel clever, which is the whole purpose of the game, and just a satisfying experience. Really, really dig Gone Shown Clever. That's my number 3. Now, normally, Sean, I would the way our formatting goes is we do 2 in a row, right? Mm-hmm. I do 2, then you do 2. I do 2, then you do 2. My fear is my 2 and 1. If I give away my 2, everyone's going to know my 1. Whereas for you, I don't know if that's the case. So, do you mind kicking us off for number 2?
Yeah, that's fine.
Number 2.
So I agonized about this quite a bit, and I think it might be the same. I think it might be the same thing. I think. But that's fine. That's fine, Alex. Because there's a little bit more surprise with my number 2. I'm pretty certain I know what your 1 and 2 are. I think I know which is which now. Okay. And we'll see. We'll see how we deal with that. So my number 2 is a game that I have not talked about playing on the show.
What?
Simply because I got my first play of it Wednesday night.
What?
Yes. And this was a highly anticipated game. We played 4 players. Everyone loved it. We loved it so much, in fact, that we are scheduled to play it again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. at the shop.
Wow.
And I am hankering to get out the solo game, the solo version, because it looks super awesome. And I'm currently printing up, I designed and I printed up all of these 3D organizer things for it. So it's currently printing right now, one of the boxes. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about, Alex?
I mean, I thought you were talking about Teotihuacan.
No.
But you're not.
No.
And I haven't heard Teotihuacan at all, which leads me to think it's gotten a pretty high spot on your list. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, of course not, Alex. It's a GMT game.
Oh, boy.
Space Corp.
I thought you said Space Court.
Space Court. There's actually a book. There's actually a series of books about a space JAG, Judge Advocate General.
Okay, interesting.
I read the first book. I didn't enjoy it. Anyway, Space Court. I should totally design Space Court. That sounds awesome. All right.
I love it.
I'm going to write
Please
that down.
do so.
Okay.
As long as there's Space Judge Judy, I'm on board.
Yeah, you're all Space, Your Honor. You have to put space in front of anything.
Say, Your Honor, space objection.
My client is space not guilty.
All right, anyway, sorry, I've completely stolen your thunder. Space Corp. With a
yes,
P.
With a P, short for corporation. This is a game that I described as being a very lighter High Frontiers. And if you remember, Alex and listeners, High Frontiers is this crazy game designed by Phil Eklund, who is an actual rocket scientist. He went to University of Arizona, my law school alma mater, but for, I think, aerospace engineering. Very complicated game, fantastic game. I'm really hankering to play it now after Space Corp, but Space Corp itself was awesome. You know how we talk about games that are like a lighter version, kind of like we mentioned with Root, and how sometimes they may just leave you wanting the real thing? That was not the case with this game. And so I did struggle, like, well, can I put this on my list? I only got the one play of it, but the one play was so good. I knew I was going to like this game going into it. I mean, I P500'd it from GMT, and I've been eagerly waiting for this to come out. So basically, since I've never talked about it, I'll kind of talk a little bit about it now. Basically, you are starting to explore the solar system, and there are 3 phases of the game, and so there are 3 different boards that you need. So first, it's exploring out to Mars and the asteroid belt. Once you do that, you put that board away, and then you pull out the rest of the solar system. Once you finish that, you put that away, and now you pull out another board that is the stars within 15 light years of Earth. And so the game plays very similar from age to age, but in each age, you're adding a new couple rules to account for the fact that the scale has changed, basically. And it is a very simple game in a lot of ways. And basically, you are drawing cards from a communal deck, and you're spending multiple cards to add up their action points to either move one of your exploration teams, to explore a particular site, to build a base there, and then you have a choice of what type of base, which will give you different effects. And then there's this cool interaction. I mean, obviously, you're trying to beat people to certain sites in the solar system and elsewhere, but you're also able to use their things. You're able to use some of their technology or use some of their bases or whatever, but then they get a benefit of getting to draw extra cards, which is really cool. Because it's like, well, man, I really need to do this, but I don't want to help you because you're already doing well. And then once you get into the second age, so it's Mariners and then Planeteers and then Starfarers. Once you get into Planeteers, then you start adding in these genetic modifications and these breakthrough scientific achievements that create these asymmetric powers. Man, this game was awesome, Alex. And I am super excited. This was, the only reason this isn't my number 1 game of the year is because I only have the one play.
Okay.
But for that, Alex, I think I would have named this my number 1 game.
Wow.
We did talk about the game afterwards. This was Rory, Matt, and Andres. And the same group were playing Sunday morning. And we're like, I think Alex would like this game.
Interesting.
It's a GMT game, but it's not particularly complex. It's a little bit on the longer side, but it feels pretty fresh with each age. Each age, it almost feels like Brass in that you kind of strip away a bunch of stuff after the first age, so to speak, the water canal age. But we're like, Alex would be telling stories with this. Like you would, I think you would like this game, but I wouldn't necessarily say that you should go seek it out in any way, shape, or form. Because while you would like it, I don't know that it's still necessarily your type of game.
I'm willing to give it a try for sure. I don't know who around here is going to have that necessarily, but yeah, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm super excited for my play tomorrow. I'm super excited to try and get it to the table solo, hopefully this week. And yeah, it's really good, Alex. So that is my number 2 from GMT, Space Corp.
Space Corp, Sean's number 2 game of 2018.
Alex, it's Space your turn.
It's Space my turn. Okay. I'm going to do this unconventionally, Sean.
Okay.
Because there are 2 games. There are 2 games. And you thought there should have been a spot for number 3 or some other game.
No, I take that back. So I thought that Reef might make it on your list, but it'd be much lower.
Yeah, no.
So no. I mean, I know what these 2 are.
Sure. So the 2 games in question are Keyforge and The Mind, both of which Sean has discussed already. Now, Sean, earlier in this podcast, you made a prediction The Mind was number 2, Keyforge was number 1.
I did, but I didn't think Keyforge had a shot at being number 1. I thought there might be something else at number 1. So I actually...
Is it something I've mentioned already?
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I think you're going to... I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know. I'll just stick with the prediction.
All right, so let's start with my number 2 game of the year. My number 2 game of the year was a huge surprise to me because when I heard game with collectible card elements but unique card game and it's this deck system, I wasn't sure I was going to really like this game. I was skeptical about it. Is it a money sink? It has this promise of, hey, you can buy a deck that you can win a tournament with for only $10-15, and you have a deck that could be the best deck in the entire world. You don't have to worry about deck instruction. You just have to work with what you have. There's no mana costs. There's just declare a faction, play to the board, activate as you'd like. And man, I have loved my plays of Keyforge. In fact, if you're looking at my list, Sean, there is, as there has been in past years, a big line between 2 and the rest of the list. The top 2 are on just a level above the rest of these. In fact, if I'm looking at this, maybe Gons would have a chance at a 6, but these 2 are both straight 6s for me. Just straight top 10 material of all time. Keyforge does what I love in games. You know, when I've played a game like Android Netrunner, I've enjoyed the game itself. I enjoy that tactical card dueling element. I've enjoyed kind of seeking out combos. It's part of why I love Baseball Highlights. And part of why I love Baseball Highlights 2045, first mentioned, is I don't have to build my own deck before the game. I have to build a deck that adjusts to what my opponent's doing. I have to build a deck that's based off of the opportunities I have out there. I have to make decisions about what my resources are. And this game takes away the deck building, but keeps the interesting tactical decisions you have against your opponent. The variety of factions, the variety of cards in those factions, how they work together, how you can evaluate a deck and see if the synergies are there or aren't. I found amazing. And it hasn't hurt that the first deck I ever bought, Smithison, the Constantly Immovable, is one heck of a deck. I would love to take my best deck and put it up against yours. I'd be curious to see how that would go. I think you'd have the edge because you just know how these games work better than I do.
I'm a better pilot. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you're a better pilot, but I don't know whose ship is better.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy the heck out of that deck. Anyway, and I enjoy the heck out of the game. It plays quickly. It feels really engaging. It's one of those where if there's an apparent leader or apparent winner, the game doesn't drag out for too long. The game makes it clear who it is and then just shuts the door and it's over. Perfect. Love it. Every deck you buy is something enjoyable and engaging. And there's a reason why this has been one of the most played games at the Tuesday night game night. It's been a ton of fun. I don't know what the staying power of this is going to be. I don't know if as new sets come out, I'm going to stick with this and be super engaged. But for right now, that game system and the games itself I've enjoyed of this have been way up there. So much so that it gave my number one game of the year a run for its money. And I didn't think that my number one of the game of the year was going to be touchable. I didn't think anything was going to be close to it this year because of how much I've enjoyed this game. This one gave it a run for its money. And who knows, as I get more decks or play more or get into competitive play, I don't know what's going to happen with this game with me in 2019. I didn't predict I'd even buy it or try it or get into it. And the fact that it's hooked me as much as it has is a big testament to what this game has done. It's taken something that could have been considered a gimmick and made it work in a really cool way. And yeah, I'm in love with Keyforge. I didn't think I'd be saying it, but I'm in love with Keyforge. So that's my number 2 game of 2018.
Number 1.
My top game of the year, though, has been one I have known for a while, as evidenced by my top 10 of all time list. This is a game that I think is absolutely brilliant. And it aggravates me to no end that people will say that The Mind isn't a game. It's the most pedantic, idiotic argument I have ever heard. It's the worst. And I get what you're saying. At its core, the game is unbelievably simple. It's in that category of games that should have already existed before this one existed. But I have not played a game that I have enjoyed with more groups of people. I haven't played a game that has had me feel like it's brought me closer to more groups of people. It helped me kind of break the ice with my girlfriend's family when I went out to visit them. It's a game I've loved playing at cons. It's a game, whether the count is 2 players and it's that intimate one-on-one connection, or it's that group of as many as 5 players that I've played it with. I've had my best moments with this game, and it's one that is going to stick around for a long time. It's the one that when I'm traveling to visit family, they ask me, please make sure you bring The Mind. In fact, my parents bought their own copy of the game. They enjoy it so much. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I love this mechanic of connection. It's a mechanic that's there to a much lesser degree in Fog of Love. This sort of that has more standard mechanics themselves, but that mechanic of connection between 2 people is pretty well in there. And this one, along with what's that game? It's a secret. It's an elimination game. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of werewolf-esque. You're allowed to do secret symbols, flash cards to people. What is that one called, Sean?
I don't know. You're allowed to flash. Dead Last.
Dead Last. Dead Last has that same kind of connection, though for the purpose of subterfuge more than this one has. That the body language and the interest in the anyway. I could go on and on about this game. I made my thoughts clear. I think it's unbelievably brilliant, and I probably should sleeve my deck because it's gotten that much use so far, and it will continue to get use. It's a game I love passionately. And will defend passionately. The folks who say this isn't a game, you can not like the game, but to say it's not a game is idiotic.
Jeez.
Idiotic. Anyone who has that opinion is stupid.
Wow. Okay. So listeners, listen. I don't think any of you are stupid.
It's been a good run. I
know it's been a very divisive year for a lot of different reasons. I know Alex is saying that you're immoral if you think it's not a game, but
I didn't say immoral. Just pedantic and anyway. I'm not a fan of that opinion.
Okay, well, I'm glad you've chosen that hill to die on, Alex.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, the 15% just got smaller. I think we're going to have to call it the 14% after that.
Well, and like I said, I do think it's interesting how divisive that game is.
It doesn't surprise me.
And it's interesting too that it is on both of our lists. And I mean, if I were really thinking about it, I would expect it, like if it were going to be on my list, to have just squeaked on. But I put it higher. Think about this. I put it higher than Coimbra, higher than Welcome to, higher than Keyforge.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of weird.
Well, I put it higher than Keyforge, too.
Well, yeah, but...
I know, but for you, it's definitely weird.
It's definitely weird.
I mean, here's why I think it's so divisive. I think because it's something that isn't tangible. It's not there's not a tangible feel to the game, right? There's not victory points, or there's not workers to be placed. There's not... The mechanics aren't super visible to you. The mechanics are in connection with another person.
Yeah.
And with some gamers, there can be an inherent social awkwardness or an inherent desire to be focused on the real and the exact and this specific number in this specific way. The fact that this game is emotional in a way that a lot of games aren't, is tied into connecting with people in a way that other games aren't, it makes it a totally different game. But it can strike that chord with folks. I mean, Happy Salmon is another game that I wouldn't expect you to love as much as you love, but
right.
But it's up there. It's right up there for me too. So yeah, that's the mind. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you don't think it's a game, you're evil. Anyway.
Way to run with it.
Yep. All right, that's my number one. Sean, what about you?
Yeah, my number one is, as you guessed, Alex, Teotihuacan City of Gods.
Wow.
Designed by Daniele Ticini and David Turksey. I have gotten additional plays of this in. I will tell you this, I do not like this as a two-player game, which is kind of a bummer. Raquel and I played, and it was over so quickly. And there was very little time to do much. And it's funny because for the most part, that shouldn't be the case, but it sure felt like it. But anyway, so this is, and I talked about this last episode. That was after I had first played it. And not much has changed, though, other than just realizing that I probably won't play this two players. I think three or four is probably the sweet spot. But basically, this is a dice placement-ish game, although the dice are more on a rondelle, and so you're limited in where you rotate them. The dice gain experience as they do things, so they get better, but then eventually they ascend, and they get replaced with a 1. It feels very similar to Tzolk'in. It's definitely the spiritual successor to Tzolk'in, which was my number one game for a long time and has remained in my top 10, a game that I love, and a game that I do love at 2 players as well as 3 and 4 players. So it's kind of unfortunate that I don't think I'll be willing to bring this out with Raquel again, just because it wasn't particularly satisfying at 2. Plus she won. Maybe it's the fact that she won that I never want to play it at 2 again. That's not true. But no, as a 3-4 player game, man, this felt good. This was it was just solid. As I indicated, it's very possible that a couple months from now, I would probably place Space Corp higher. I don't know. We'll see. I am still excited for more plays of this. Rory's been begging me to get more plays of this in, and I think that's going to need to happen soon because, yeah, it is a solid game. It is a great medium to medium heavyweight Euro, and I think you're going to dig this. I think it feels less restrictive than, say, a Marco Polo, Voyages of Marco Polo, but I think it also does a better job than, say, with the dice placement than, say, Rajas of the Ganges. I still don't, I think Coimbra is really where it's at for you. I don't think you would like this more than Coimbra, but I think you need to give this game a shot because I think there's something here for you. You may not be crazy about it, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Does this game have a chance at cracking your top 10 of all time?
No.
Interesting.
It is a 6. I call this a 6.
Sure.
And to do what you did, I would say that my 1 and 2 are definitely 6s. My 3, which is Lords of Hellas, Brass Birmingham, might be a 6.
Yeah.
But I know Lords of Hellas and everything above it are 5s.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And here's why. Because I know right now there's going to be at least one GMT game that will enter my top 10, an additional GMT game, and possibly another. In fact, what Rory wanted me to do was he wanted me to name a 1997 game as my top game of 2018, because I think I heard it just arrive. It just came in past the Paths of Glory Deluxe.
Okay.
Just arrived.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it shipped earlier this week. So this has an extra board for a different historical scenario, has some added cards and a couple added things. There's a very good chance that Paths of Glory will be on my top 10 of all time. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that, Rory. That would be silliness to put a 1997 game as my number 1. But if it counted, it absolutely would be my number 1 game. That was okay. If we were talking like the best games I've played this year, that would be number 1.
Interesting.
Down. It's fantastic. It's a 7 to 12 hour experience that I've already played 5 times this year.
Now, what does it say that your number 1 game of the year on your list isn't close to cracking your top 10 of all time? Does that say that this is a down year?
No, I don't think so. I think it says more. Like I think it just gets harder and harder because the numbers just don't work out, right? Like if you've played 1,000 games, right, and of those 1,000 you've picked your top 10, it's such a refined list, and the idea that as time goes on, it should be harder and harder to actually crack that. And we've seen things that do that.
I'm more susceptible to it than you, but I have played fewer games overall than you have.
Yeah, I think I put Space Court in the show notes.
You didn't. I typed that. I typed that for you.
Okay.
I was wondering when you were going to notice that.
Right now, the high I'm feeling from Space Corp, it could get there, but I don't think it will. I think Space Corp might have a shelf life, and there will need to be an expansion.
Okay, got it.
Because I think, yeah, I don't know. Basically, you can have additional genetics cards, additional breakthrough cards, and even different base cards. But right now, I mean, I think I'm going to get at least a dozen plays out of this game, which is fine. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, solid. Well, before we wrap things up, let's get to the Guild's #1 picks. Sylvain Lacroix tabbed Keyforge as his #1 of this year, so interesting to see that one get some love. Chris Holm with, I don't know if I'd call this a controversial selection or not. Twilight Imperium 4th edition?
I thought that came out last year. Didn't that come out at Gen Con 2017?
He called it 2018-ish.
Okay.
Anyway, Twilight Imperium 4th edition. John Hay came with Castell. Have you played that one yet?
I haven't. The Renegade game, right?
Yeah, Renegade game. I demoed part of a game and found it somewhat engaging, pretty engaging. I don't know if it would have had a chance at my top 10, but I enjoyed it. He describes it, by the way, he says, while definitely a Euro game, it does a good job of bringing the theme through and has a nice puzzly feel. Jimmy DM90's #1 game, The Reckoners. Have you tried that one?
No.
I've seen that one around. It's based off of Brant Sanderson's book series.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Andrew Mason with Everdell, which I know you really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was good.
Yep. BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Coimbra. Coimbra was his #1 of the year. He says it has it all for him. Beautiful production, the cool multiple-use dice, and so many different ways to win. You really have to look at the board state and the travel area to see how you want to develop your strategy. So, and then he guessed that your #1 of the year would be Teotihuacan. He got that right. And he guessed mine would be Keyforge. And close, but not quite. Matthew S. picked The Estates from Capstone Games. Sean, have you played that one?
I have not, but I'm very eager to play it.
Yeah, I think that one, just based on the company that's making it, would have a chance at your top 10. So, fair enough. Let's see. Evan S. Brass Birmingham. Birmingham is such an interesting innovation on Lancashire. The game offers more variability and an interesting aspect with beer and how it relates to both rail building and selling in the rail age. I just love it, although I do think it is different enough from Lancashire to own both in your collection, and I think you would agree with that too.
Yeah.
And let's see, he guessed that your list in some order, Root, Teotihuacan, got that right, Brass Birmingham. The Estates, you haven't played it, so, oh well. Rising Sun, got that right. Keyforge, got that right. Everdell, not on the list. Coimbra, got that right. Gone Shown Clever, and he guessed Fireball Island would be in your top 10?
Yeah, no. So Gone Shown Clever, I think, is a good guess. Fireball Island, although I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it has a very specific niche for me. Yeah, it wasn't a consideration. I looked at it, I'm like, does this even get considered? I'm like, yeah, no, probably not.
Okay. Steve O'Rourke's favorite game of the year, Gone Shown Clever. Blaine Miley's favorite game of the year, Too Many Bones Undertow. Unique character building.
So I have the first edition of, not first edition, but the first Too Many Bones, and it's really good. I only played it the one time, and I need to play it some more. It's a big game. It's really cool. And if I get some more plays of that, I would, and continue to enjoy it, I'd probably want to pick up Undertow.
Megan Naxer, The Quacks of Quedlinburg. She really dug that one. And knowing her game taste, that's interesting. That's really interesting. She says, let's make a bus route pretty high up on her list, which I've heard good things about. I haven't tried yet. Willie Williams' favorite game of the year, Rising Sun. Michael Fahrenbrook's number 1 of the year, Gone's Shown Clever. So couple mentions for Gone's Shown Clever. That one has captured the guild pretty well.
Yeah.
AJ, though, also picked Rising Sun as his favorite game of the year. And Nick Hayes didn't have anything because he only played Game of Thrones and didn't have any 2018 games. So, fair enough.
So, Alex, are there games that you are looking forward to in 2019? Anything on your radar?
Oh, man. Football Highlights 2052, of course. I will receive it, and I will play it, and hopefully I will enjoy it. 2019 games. Let me think about other 20... My mind is a blank. I haven't thought about that a ton. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, we do this every year, don't we? Don't we always talk about what we're
excited about? Yeah, and I usually have no idea.
Okay, perfect. I've got a whole list, Alex. I'll do this quick.
Oh, do you? How many are on this list?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's a lot.
Okay, so Capstone in this month, January, has 2 new games coming out, Magnastorm and Fuji. Fuji is like this cooperative dice rolling game where you're trying to avoid the lava. So that sounds interesting. New Frontiers is coming out, and this is a new game in the Race for the Galaxy universe. And I'm not sure to what extent, I haven't looked too much into this, but to what extent it uses race or roll for the Galaxy mechanics, but I'm sure some of that's there. I am legitimately, Alex, interested in Machikoro Legacy.
Oh, come on.
No, I am. I really am.
No, come on. Now you're just trolling the listeners.
It's got Rob Davio working on it, right?
Okay.
Your buddy J.R. Honeycutt's working on it.
J.R. Honeycutt?
We hate Machikoro. We hate it with a passion. We both gave it a 1. Yep. Or I think you tried to give it a 0, and I didn't allow it. But we hate it with a passion. So I am just very interested in a Machikoro Legacy. There's this sort of it's like looking at a car wreck. You know what I mean? But I'm going to give it a fair shot. Dead Man's Cabal. Have you heard about this from Pandasaurus?
Nope, don't know it.
It's designed by Daniel Newman, listener of the show.
Oh, cool.
He's designed a couple games. This one looks really interesting. It's a really interesting theme where you're this like necromancer that's, and there's this like action selection mechanic. It looks pretty interesting. So some GMT games, Alex.
Oh, boy.
Commands and Colors Medieval, which I have on the P500, and I think that's supposed to be coming out in the summer. Did I hear that right? I don't remember. There's the new Dominant Species Marine, which I'm really excited for. There's this really interesting one called Versailles 1919, where you're playing the 4 major powers at the end of World War I, trying to shape the post-war geopolitical landscape, designed by Mark Herman, who is a fantastic wargame designer, designed games like We the People, Washington's War, but also co-designed by Jeff Engelstein, which sounds really interesting. And then this is the one that I have had. This is my first P500, Alex, and it's just been sitting there forever, and it is highly anticipated. There is a chance it comes out winter of this year. And oh my goodness, if it does, I'm going to be so sad. This is Mr. President.
Oh, I've heard about this one.
It's supposed to be this like 12-hour solo game that is just this super granular.
Manage the country. And, yeah.
The domestic politics, the foreign policy, all this stuff. It's supposed to be insane. Anytime I see some news come out about it where they're talking about gameplay or playtesting or whatever, I just gobble it up because I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for this.
This may surprise you. I'm really interested in that game. I'm not going to buy it.
I know. You don't have the attention span, Alex, to sit down and play this for 12 hours.
No, I just think it would be funny seeing how bad of a job I'd do as president.
Yeah. So I have my fingers crossed that this is the year that it finally comes out. I really hope it does. So,
by the way, a presidential game that I'm anticipating coming out this coming year, Revolution of 1828.
Yeah, by Feld.
From Stefan Feld. I have no idea how this is going to work or if this is going to work, but I'm very intrigued by it.
All right. Well, that will do it for our top 10 and for our look forward into 2019.
Yeah, that'll do it. Man, one segment episode, but yet we still end up at almost 2 hours.
Yep.
How about that?
Good times.
Before we go, the rest of the top 6 names that we were considering. BJ from Board Game Gumbo with Dexa Duchy, referencing 10 and, the Duchy.
And then for the new year, Blaine Miley suggested Auld List Sign instead of Auld Lang Syne, the New Year song that everyone mumbles through because they don't know the actual lyrics.
Is it Aud or Ald?
I don't know.
I always hear it as Auld Lang Syne, and it would be spelled that way.
Yeah, it's spelled that way.
Okay, that's fair.
It's
All
a
right.
silent L that you pronounce.
Cool. Willie Williams with 2018 and Life to Go.
And then Nick Hayes suggested 2000 late teen. Is that because our list is slightly late?
Probably that, and also it's the late teens.
Well, yeah.
In terms of the actual year.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But yeah, our list, we're always, the fact that we got Feldmiss timed exactly right is a stunning thing to me. And then the name father, Steve O'Rourke with Decathlon. So that's the top 6 names.
All right, well, thanks everybody on the Guild for your contributions. Really appreciate it. Happy New Year to all of you. Until next time, this is Sean.
And Alex.
And Duke you later, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to The Dukes of Dice. Today's episode was recorded in the Duchy on January 5th, 2019. Our theme music provided by Carbohydro M from his Prime Legacy album. The Dukes of Dice are a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. For other great board gaming podcasts, check out DicetowerNetwork.com. And for all the latest in the Duchy, go to DukesOfDice.com. Find us on Twitter at Dukes of Dice. Join in conversations on our Board Game Geek Guild. Find us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks to our sponsors, Tasty Minstrel Games, Arcane Wonders, and Game Toppers, LLC. You can check out all of TMG's awesome titles at PlayTMG.com. Learn more about Arcane Wonders' fine games at ArcaneWonders.com. And find out all about Game Toppers at GameToppersLLC.com. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Until then, game on!